Hello and good evening to you. It's 10 p.m. here in Accra, 11 p.m. in Abuja, Nigeria, and midnight in Johannesburg, South Africa. Around the world, you can also follow us streaming live on Facebook, also on 3news.com. Facebook is TV3 Ghana. We're also live on DSTV channel 279. My name is Alfred Okansi, and welcome to News at 10. Bring you stories from across the country and beyond over the next 30 minutes. But first, a rainstorm destroyed 152 homes and 3 churches in Zabzugo, the northern region. Children and pregnant women in some communities in Zabzugo, in the Zabzugo district of the northern region, have resorted to sleeping in the open following torrential rains that left them without roofs. President Akufo-Addo has reassured Ghanaians his government will sustain the free senior high school policy. He says the benefits the country will derive from the policy makes it imperative to find avenues for its sustenance. Some pupils of Mile 70, a community in the Pandai district of the northern region, abandoned school to engage in hunting. They cite the lack of teaching and learning materials as a reason for abandoning school to hunt for bushmeat. And on the international front, Vladimir Putin will lead Russia for another 6 years after securing an unexpected victory in the presidential election. A Russian state exit poll gave him 73.9% of the vote, easily defeating his closest competitor. The main opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, was barred from the race. A state exit poll put the turnout at about 63.7%. So live here on News at 10. My name is Alfred Okansi. Let's settle for the big one. Now, government has promised to mobilize whatever assistance it can to enable the police provide Ghanaians the kind of service and security they deserve. At the commissioning of the Bekwai Divisional Police Headquarters constructed by the Member of Parliament for the area, Joseph Oseusu, President Akufo-Addo said negotiations for the deployment of some 8,700 CCTV cameras across all districts with 3 command centers in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale have been completed. 1,000 vehicles, 200 already given to Operation Calm Life, and the rest expected this year. And that's what's happening now with the president's and the government's commitment to improving policing in the country as a result of the increasing spate of armed robbery across some parts of the country. But let's get on to Skype now and weigh into the thoughts of the expert on the security analyst and a chief executive officer of the security warehouse, Adam Bonai, join me on Skype. So Bonai, thank you for your time this evening. Now, this sounds like done deal, isn't it? 8,700 CCTV, 1,000 vehicles across all districts, and the president is saying negotiations for the rollout has already been completed. What's your thought about this resources and how it's going to improve the situation as we have it now?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished viewers. Yeah, well, one would say better late than never. Negotiations have completed. I'm aware of the negotiations that are completed with regards to the deployment of the second phase of the CCTVs all over the country with the 3 command centers. And so one would have wished that the numbers would be bigger. If you compare what we have here to other places where they are doing, one CCTV camera to 5 human beings. We are doing probably 1 CCTV cameras to about maybe 2,000 people. And so we are so far away from, where others are. And so I would have wished that do
Okay,
but
so
then one would say, let's doing well. Yeah. Go on.
you were actually breaking up at a point. So if you could just straighten up for me. But then we've had this CCTV interventions before. This is not the first time we're seeing this. And considering the fact that even with the CID boss did indicate some time ago that just 30% of the entire investigators in the CID across the country are properly trained to do investigations. Now that we know that this equipment has been procured, what are you expecting of the police to ensure that they would be able to use these equipment effectively to achieve the objective?
Well, the expectations are that the current police staff strength would increase. And then apart from the increment, we need to have police officers going for refresher, courses or refresher training. Most of them finish their 6 months police training depot and from the police depots, and they don't go back to any form of training again. And so we expect them to train with regards to, being able to gather intelligence information. And I'm aware there is the intelligence directorate has been created, headed by Onu. And so we are expecting that a lot will go into the human resource base of the Ghana Police Service, because if we continue to invest more into equipment without training the human resource that would use this equipment, then probably there's going to be a mismatch. And so we'll not be able to effect these systems. And I am aware that the president did mention 1,000 police vehicles. The police is currently expecting what I call about 4,000 to 5,000 police vehicles instead of the 1,000. But one will say, hopefully, the current administration will invest more into vehicles. And then, apart from the investing into the vehicles, over the years, investment in police vehicles have been investing in vehicles that are not fit for purpose. And you would have a saloon vehicle that is supposed to be going to the market, going to do shopping in the market, for instance, being procured for the police. With these pothole-ridden roads, they have challenges sometimes when they have to go after miscreants and armed robbers. And so one would wish that the government would involve the police administration more when it comes to procurement of some of these vehicles, because I'm aware most often times they will do the procurement for the police, and therefore they will procure vehicles and some of the equipment that probably are not fit for purpose. If you realize in what do you call it, a Jura or so, a police station has been attacked. And so going back to the CCTVs, if these systems are deployed, that would probably help in arresting those who usually think that attacking a police station is one surest way of letting people know this is how they have to vent their anger, because then after you attack, you are likely to be arrested when playbacks and reviews are done. And so let's hope that your media house and the other media houses will play, and all of us will play a watchdog role in ensuring that the 800 million the government said it is going to release to the Ghana Police Service in the next 6 months, how many has been released? And so I hope that this week your station probably will run programs trying to unearth whether how much of the 800 million has already been expended since the president said it in the State of the Nation's address.
That would be very good to find out indeed answers to. But I mean, from your diagnosis, the problem that the police face goes really beyond resources. Now that government is focused on tackling the resource problem, what are the other problems that you would want government to be mindful of or avert its mind to while they try to improve on policing?
Well, one of the things has to do with education. The NCCE, the civic, the national, the civic, the NCCE. The NCCE needs to be resourced with regards to being able to educate the populace with regards to what our roles are, our responsibilities, and the rest. And also, if you look at, we have a lot of other nationals from the West African countries coming into our country. And so these are some of the things, database of those who are coming in and going out of this country. We don't seem to have a database of those coming in and going. And therefore, it has made it probably very difficult to be able to deal with crime effectively. And so in going forward, I would hope that when the national ID card system is rolled out, those who are coming into this country are going to be probably fingerprinted. We will capture their database. And then we expect the immigration service to go out there and hit hard at those who are staying in this country illegally. There are about 4 or 5 million illegal immigrants who are in Ghana and who have no reason to be in Ghana. Deport them, send them back, fingerprint them. Don't let them back here until they regularize their stay in this country. That way, you'll be dealing with miscreants who have found Ghana to be a safe haven to commit crimes, and then probably making it very difficult for the police to fight crime effectively.
And some of these resources will be given to the Operation Calm Life, which was deployed after these widespread cases of armed robbery. Have you had the opportunity to assess the work of the Operation Calm Life since its inception up until now?
Yes, I have. Yes, it's a very good question. Yes, I have. In fact, I have gone out there several. I've gone out several in the nights and during the day just to see the performance of the Operation Calm Life team, what they are doing, and it is significant to note that since the relaunch of the Operation Calm Life, the situation has normalized. I have seen police officers together with some military officers in town doing snap checks and, searching in vehicles. And these are serious-looking people, officers you wouldn't want to play around with. And I think that since the inception of the Police Intelligence Directorate, which was recently instituted by the IGP, they have managed somehow, I don't know how they did it, but they have managed to arrest most of the kingpins who were the last 6 weeks who had taken this country hostage and robbing from one community to the other with impunity. And so I would say that let's also spend a lot of resources ensuring that the police intelligence unit is properly resourced. One thing I want to put across is that I'm aware some young people have been deployed as community police officers. But unfortunately, it looks like the police administration is rather using them as traffic wardens, which I think that shouldn't be the reason why these people, when you say community police, we expect to see them, for instance, where you stay and where I stay. We want to see them on foot patrols or on bicycle patrols or motorbike patrols. But unfortunately, you see these young people rather being used as traffic wardens, which is not dealing with the issue.
Zabona, thank you for very, indeed, instructive thoughts there. But I'm grateful for your time as always. Do have a good night. Great. Adam Bona is the CEO of Security Warehouse. He's a security analyst as well, sharing his thoughts with us on government's resolve to improve policing across the country. Still live here on News at 10. We're live on Facebook as TV3 Ghana, also on DSTV channel 279. We're back shortly with some more stories to stay. Welcome back to News at 10. Our children and pregnant women in some communities in Zabzugu, in the Zabzugu district of the northern region, have resorted to sleeping in the open following torrential rains that has left them without roofs over their heads. 4 schools, namely Kukpa Ligu, that's DA Primary, Golangini DA, Gokukini DA, and Rajia Primary Schools have been totally razed by a rainstorm. The rains that began at 3 p.m. Saturday, March 18, 2018, lasted about 3 hours and left over 2,000 residents homeless. Eyewitnesses say the rains was a combination of rain and windstorm. Communities hard hit include Gorganglinyi, Gokukani, Kupangnilingu, Belingo, and Nakpali Mbedubo. Pupils may have to take lessons in the open as there are no classroom blocks for teaching and learning to be undertaken. Officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, say a total of 152 houses and 3 churches have been affected. So far, officials of the National Disaster Management Organization say they have begun the registration of persons who were affected by the rainstorm. District Chief Executive for Zabzugu, Ahmed Abubakar Idrisu, visited the affected communities. Now, President Akufo-Addo has reassured Ghanaians his government will sustain the free senior high school policy. He says the benefits the country will derive from the policy makes it imperative to find avenues for its sustenance. He was speaking at the 65th Speech and Prize Giving Day of the Seventh-day Adventist Senior High School at Bekwai.
The event was under the theme, The Free SHS Policy, the Role, Challenges and Prospects of Stakeholders. President Akufo-Addo said although there have been few challenges in the implementation of the free senior high school policy, government is committed to its sustainability.
We will spare no effort in ensuring that this policy succeeds. Free SHS is here to stay. And if we are to build the modern, progressive and prosperous Ghana we desire, each and every one of us here has a major stake in ensuring that we achieve excellence in our educational system.
The president said everyone must have a major stake in delivery of quality education in the country. He expressed serious concern about absenteeism among teachers and students in the country.
Teacher absenteeism is one of the factors that leads to our students recording not too encouraging results in the West African Senior Secondary Certificate Education exams. Our teachers must bear in mind that they are role models to students and they set the bar for excellence and must therefore project excellence to their students.
President Akufo-Addo also reminded students that indiscipline undermines academic work.
Towards the success of the free SHS policy, no headmaster or headmistress is to charge any unapproved or illegal fees or charge fees already exempted under the policy. Government will be strict about this and sanction any school head who flouts this directive.
Awards were given to dignitaries, including the president.
Well, President Akufo-Addo's promise of extending free senior high school initiative to cover technical and vocational institutions is raising some key questions about its implementation and how relevant this will be towards resolving Ghana's unemployment challenge. Only an estimated 5,000 new jobs are created in the formal sectors annually out of over 100,000 who graduate out from the senior high schools and tertiary institutions on a yearly basis. Now, the way to bridge this gap, according to experts, is to prioritize technical, vocational and education training interspersed with entrepreneurship support. But what is the holistic picture and what are the critical pathways the policy must consider? Earlier on News 360, I spoke with the Executive Director of the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET, Fred Chey Asamoah, on Skype, and the Executive Director of Civil Society Group Action for Rural Education, Kofi Asare. Trades like auto mechanics, hairdressing and carpentry are considered to be preserve of children who do not have the mental ability to pursue a university education. Now, looking at this challenge, which has been identified by COTVET itself, how will making it free address this?
The issue with TVET is that, unfortunately, those who don't perform academically well actually end up subscribing to TVET because they virtually have no choice. So if you're not able to make it to senior high school, then unfortunately you turn to TVET. I'm saying unfortunately because it shouldn't be so. TVET should have been a matter of choice. If you have a career ambition and then if you want to be a TVET practitioner, then you follow that pathway. But unfortunately in Ghana, we are yet to come to terms with the fact that TVET is actually a matter of choice and not the last resort. Now, TVET is expensive. If you are very much accustomed to education costs issues, grammar education is actually the cheapest form of education. True. So a TVET student obviously will pay almost twice the school fees of a regular student. In that case, it makes the issue of access an issue for TVET. More so, where most of the TVET institutions, or I mean a sizable number, are not government schools. Most of them are international NGOs, most of them are private schools, and a lot of them are also government schools. But the fact is that TVET is not cheap, it's expensive. And so if government really prioritizes job creation through skills education, then it is in the right direction to provide free technical and vocational education and training.
As the low prestige that TVET, that's technical vocation and education training, enjoys in Ghana. Now, how would the president's resolve to make it free address that problem and also have a lot of people begin to regard technical education and take up that free option the president is giving?
Not just making it free alone will not solve the problem. But remember, the president has done something right by starting from the basis. In Ghana right now, we have a TVET system that is scattered over 19 ministries. Over 19 ministries with different certification, different standards, different kind of training. As far as the laws that are governing TVET is concerned, we have a whole host of them. We have MVTI Act, which is somewhere in the 70s. We have the NAPTEX, we have the COVET Act, we have the Children's, we have Polytechnics. So you see that in our TVET system, it's scattered all over. What he's saying that let's first sanitize the system. And to do that, let's realign all our TVET institutions to one ministry. In the past, across other countries, when TVET, they started to transform TVET. It started from ministries like employment and later on went to trade. And in all the major leading developed countries and industrialized nations, later on they assembled everything under one ministry. So what this country is doing is not reinventing the wheel, but look at the good practices. Let's first sanitize the system. Let's realign all our TVET institutions to one ministry. Then, of course, let's look at what standards, because technical and vocational is something that is hands-on. What does the industry need? It's the industry that determines what we need to produce in our TVET system. Because, look, if we are talking about unemployment, there are two things that employees do. Either you provide goods or you provide services. But every goods has got standards. Every services have got standards. The goods that we import into the country have got certain standards they meet. The services that we intend having have got certain standards. How do we meet these standards? And let's ensure that these standards are used across.
The Institute of Chartered Economists, Ghana, has urged government to fully provide human, financial and material resources as the country attempts to revamp technical and vocational education and training, TVET. The institute indicates TVET will provide ready labor for the industrialization of the country. A research fellow at the institute, Bawa Abdul Fattah, says should government fail to give resources to technical education and institutions like it happened during the experimental JSS and through to the SSS, now senior high school, TVET will also fail to achieve the intended impact.
It was a policy that was brought up to change the educational system to make people when they do. And that was why GSS came in. And even in GSS, the courses that you do, you were supposed to do life skills, technical drawing, technical skills, you do the practical work, and then you move. Unfortunately, there were no enough teachers in these areas, and there were no training colleges that have it. I think few training colleges have them. So the teachers were scarce, and then the students were taught theoretically instead of the practice. In moving forward in the secondary schools, they were not existing. The training aspect was not existing. You just write the exams as JSS, and then you go to SS, and then that is not there. So that made that a program very challenging. And so beyond JSS, we were not experiencing the practical aspect of it. And vocational skills, or what they call home economics, was introduced in secondary school. Yet the same mindset that followed the beginning, that if you have not gotten a good pass, you either do visual arts. Even the school are interested in picking them because they were not people fending for visual art and home economics, you understand. So I think that was where the challenges came. But once government responds to issues in public interest, they try moving on to be able to absorb the students, and that is why the issue, that particular aspect, look vague somehow.
Well, that's it for News at 10 tonight here. It came to you live from our news hub here at Desawe in Canada. There's more news on 3news.com. Also, remember, we're live on DSTV channel 279. My name is Alfred Okanse. On behalf of the rest of the team here on News at 10, I want to say thank you for spending your 30 minutes with us, and do have a good night.